Volevamo andare a Parigi per la Fashion Week, per respirare quell'atmosfera che solo Parigi in quei giorni sa creare. Così, insieme al team Lomalab siamo partiti, ma c'era qualcosa che non tornava. Non potevamo limitarci a guardare, dovevamo fare quello che sappiamo fare meglio. Così abbiamo trasformato la nostra stanza in un set improvvisato e abbiamo incontrato due persone che Parigi la conoscono bene. Adam e Julien sono due fotografi molto diversi. Uno ha fatto dello street style il suo marchio di fabbrica, l'altro ha aperto una delle agenzie creative più importanti in Europa. Questo è il primo spin-off fuori dall'Italia di Loma Lounge Podcast. Mettetevi comodi e buona visione.
Loma Lounge Podcast is the first podcast by Lomalab and 035, where we interview young entrepreneurs, creatives, and designers to understand and discover their stories, their challenges, and to get inspired. Me, I'm Luca from 035, and today we're here in Paris. And if it came about having here at this table one of the most interesting creative souls and minds out of, I think, all France, but we can say Europe, well, this is the case, and today I'm pleased to introduce you Julien from Bleu Mode. So, nice to meet you, Julien.
Nice to meet you.
So, super proud to be here. You doing good?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for having me.
All right. So, we have made a bit of research, and we like always to start from the beginning, but not the basic beginning. We like to see the trigger and what really give you, the starting point of the whole career. And making a bit of research, we knew that time ago you went to the USA, to New York, and that was actually the moment that you got into the world that today you're still living and that you made your profession. So we'd like to know more about that, but basically, what were the reasons that brought you from France, from Sète, correct, to New York? And so from that and on.
Okay, well, so I was born and raised in Sète, which is like right by the sea in the south of France. I loved it there, but after a while, I realized that, there was no opportunities, nothing. And I needed to get inspired. I needed to to feel some motivation. And then I decided to move somewhere else first. And so I thought Paris was the easiest and, maybe the most logical, since I'm in France, we go to the capital. But then when I went there for like a few days, I was like, in the end, it's the same thing, it's still France. I needed like a big change. And since I was like a big fan of hip hop and like we all were inspired by the US culture with through video musics, video music, MTV, all that stuff. Because I was born in 85, so I was a teenager in the 2000. And, that was really like the hype was like in the States, of course, like R&B music, hip hop, like all that stuff. I was doing breakdance. I was doing graffiti. So, I was really, really into hip hop. And then I'm like, well, I might just go to New York if I want to go somewhere, So I moved there in order to first learn English and, just figure it out. I had no plans, none at all. I didn't know anyone. And with a friend of mine, we decided to go there.
All right. So you was not alone, actually.
I was not alone. I had a close friend of mine that also wanted to go. So let's just go together and figure it out. And that was 2008. So I was 23.
All right. And how did this trip brought you close to photography and the whole creative world that today you live in?
It takes time. It didn't happen like this overnight. First, I didn't even think about photography when I first moved there. But then after a while, I got inspired. I wanted to take photos, mostly to show the city, my new life, pretty much in the States. It was the beginning of Facebook. There was Instagram. So I was like, I'm just gonna post some photos for my friend, because everyone was like, oh, how is it there? Show us. So I bought it cheap point and shoot camera at B&H, and then started taking photos, mostly architecture, yellow cabs, the classic stuff, New York stuff.
In New York, okay.
Nothing fancy, but you just
the cliches.
Fun. Yeah, the cliche, but I kind of liked it. So then I got really into it. And me, when I do something, I tend to like do it to the fullest. So I was really paying attention to details, like trying to frame it properly. Then I play on my Mac, like the software, edit a bit the colors, contrast, all that shit. And then I was like, oh, it's fun, you know, but like I had no idea I could make a living out of it. And then, you know, little by little, you go out. I was going out a lot. I met a lot of people, creatives, and I realized, like, you know, there was a bunch of jobs that I didn't know existed. Because in my hometown, like, it's either you're a fisherman or you have a restaurant. I mean, there's not that many jobs, you know. You cannot make a living out of photography.
So actually, it was like something that opened your mind. And your
then
view
I
on-
realized, oh damn, it's like the whole world is open now. Like,
Okay.
I didn't know you can actually, you know, get paid to take photos.
And that was a thing that you
Besides-
discovered, like, by meeting photographers.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Okay.
you know, I was in all the parties, so I met like a lot of different people from different countries, like a lot of Japanese. Because I went to like some language, like stupid school where they pretend to teach you English, but it's just like to get a student visa, pretty much.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a trick that they have in New York. So there I met a bunch of people, like a lot of them wanted to work in fashion, a lot of them wanted to work in art. Then I met some guys that already had a career that were older than me. And I was like, oh, I didn't know I was going to be one of them, but I'm like, this is kind of cool. You know, you travel, you take photos and you do a bunch of stuff, interesting stuff. So yeah, this whole world opened in front of me and I was like, okay, but still, I didn't want to be a photographer,
Understand.
but I was just analyzing and, you know, getting
Okay.
inspired.
Did you find this really something that created yourself, shaped yourself? And was it a big challenge for you and
Yeah,
that
it
you
was-
recommend to people?
Well, it was a big challenge because, you know, the energy of the city, New York, is like so special that you want to do something, you know. You see the money, you see like successful people, it's in front of you. It's not in your pocket, but it's there, you know. Contrary to where I come from, you know, in South, like in my hometown, let's say, we don't see that. So there's no really a motivation, you know. You see like unemployed people, like people who struggle to pay the rent, you know, this kind of stuff. So it's like, it's a whole different world. And I was like, okay, maybe, you know, maybe I can
Alright.
do something here. At first, we were supposed to stay like for a year or like, yeah, we say like 1 year, 2 years, you know, and then we come back.
Okay.
But then I realized like there's something here that I need to do. Like, I don't want to go back, you know.
So then for how long did you stay in New York?
Oh, I ended up staying like 11, 12 years.
Oh. That's pretty a long time, but
Yeah.
well, it's actually pretty expensive, and you know, something that you really gotta get used to. I think that going from set to New York in terms of living expenses, but also like the whole lifestyle that you have in the cities,
Yeah.
something completely different, something that shifts from being focused about, I don't think enjoying, but like complete different lifestyles.
Oh yes, it has nothing to do, of course, but there's always a way to, you know, to live the life even though you don't have like a lot of money. I pay like cheap rent. I was living in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, which is not like fancy at all, and it wasn't gentrified at the time because it was 2008. I stayed there like 7 years at the same apartment, my first apartment. Now there's a way, you know, you go to like, you can eat at home and then go to the city. You take the subway. You
sure.
know, the car is like $100 for the whole month, unlimited. So I mean, you don't need to spend like $5K.
Yeah,
Of course, now when I go to New York, it's not the same lifestyle as before. But when you're like in your early 20s, you know, there's always a way to have fun without spending so much money.
Yeah, and that's
you know?
something actually that builds also the character and,
Yeah,
and
exactly,
everything
yeah.
from that.
Like I would never go eat in a restaurant, for example. I was actually working in a restaurant.
Okay.
So I was on the other side.
All right. Since that moment, like being in New York for a long time, I would
Yeah.
say, what actually was the first step that you took to go towards photography and the whole world, and how did you evolve in that?
I was maybe 25 and I was like, man, it's now or never. Like I need to make a move now because otherwise, you know, time flies, you know, and if you don't take actions, then I'm going to get to my 30s without a career, without nothing serious. So at the time I was working in a restaurant for like 2 years. in a French restaurant in Brooklyn. And then he ended pretty bad with the owner. We got into like an argument, whatever, because he was an asshole, disrespectful and everything. So I left and I was like, I have to do something now. Like, I'm not gonna go back to a restaurant. I need to do something.
So that was forced.
Yeah, I was like, now, I mean, if I stay in New York to work in a restaurant, might as well go back to set, you know, there's no point. No offense to people working in a restaurant, but that wasn't my ambition, you know. I wanted to do something that I really like. Otherwise, I just stay in my country, you know.
Yeah, well,
France is fine, but like, you know, I'm not gonna be the States just to live there, to live this life, you know.
So you started in this situation with photography that you had to make a move, but what were the steps that you took and the time that passed from that moment until when you realized that photography
Well, at this point, I was already, like I say, like taking photos for fun and everything, but it wasn't serious at all. I was not getting paid. It was,
and to getting paid and consider photography like the job.
Actually, right before I launched Bleu Mode in January 2013. I went to school. I went to Parsons for 2 years in the city to study photography and art, and that's actually when I got fired from the restaurant. I applied at the same time for Parsons because I was like, okay, now I've been in this country for like, it was like 2011. So I was there for 3 years already.
Okay.
My situation was pretty much the same, you know. I was making extra money at the restaurant, cash. I was doing fine, but it's like not building a proper career. So I was like, now I need to do something, otherwise I go home, you know, it's fine. And then I'm just gonna try it. I want to be a photographer, but at this point I knew what I wanted. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to be a photographer, because I remember my dad, who passed away when I was 7, so I don't really know him, but my dad was super into photography. He was working at the port, but on the side he was taking photos, but just for fun, you know. So we had a bunch of cameras and film at home, and you know, so I saw his work. I was like, oh, maybe actually, you know, maybe that's my destiny. Like, my dad wanted to be a photographer. I think it's for me, you know, I'm gonna do it now. Because I'm in New York, in set, you cannot do that. So, you know, it was kind of like a sign. I was like, I think, you know, I'm just gonna try, you know, at this point. I have nothing to lose. So I applied to Parsons, and I got approved. I got like a scholarship that didn't cover everything, but like half of it. So okay, maybe, you know, let's try it. So yeah, I took those classes, and after 2 years I dropped out, because at the same time I was already working a bit. It was like random jobs, but you know, whatever, man. Like I knew the visual merchandiser of Louis Vuitton that I met, because she was dating my friend, and then so I got the job of like shooting the windows for Louis Vuitton on Fifth Avenue, like random, but
And that was actually your first job?
One of the first. I started doing street style at the same time.
Okay.
Actually, NSS Mag from Italy.
Yeah.
That an Italian friend connected us by email, and then they wanted some street style because before it was Napoli street style, NSS. So it was only about street style.
From New York, actually.
Yeah, they wanted photos from New York to publish on the channels. So I was like, yeah, sure, I can do that, but they would pay me nothing, you know. But it's fine. They were also getting started. We're still friends now to this day, but they were actually my first clients.
So actually, it was a bit forced, the choice of going into photography or taking it super serious and going to school and everything. But talking about like real projects that still today you consider as the real starting point as of your career. One of the first early projects that you consider one of your best that you're still super proud of.
Well, it's hard to say, because I've done a lot of projects at this time, and I don't think there's one that really stand out, because you know where you're in the mission, like you don't really look back. So you do. Oh, I'm gonna do this. And you don't really take time to stop and be like, oh, what did I do to get there? You know, and you don't even realize that you're moving forward, because it's all happening. Okay, I'm gonna do this. I don't want to waste time. And then you jump into
don't
the
have
next
time
project.
to look back, probably.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like this for years, like 6-7 years. Actually, I think until COVID. My only break was when COVID happened, and I had to stop. Like everyone, the world stopped. So then I looked back, but before I don't really know what project at this time. I think it all adds up. It's like a bunch of small projects that, okay, take you to the next step, and then you don't even realize, but you're getting there. But you so much in your mission that you don't take time to look back, and like, so it's hard to say, to be honest. I will have to look back at all the archives and see, oh, maybe that was the one. But like this, it's hard for me to say.
Behind all these works, all these steps that got you closer to the end goal of your mission, even though we know that probably it never has an ending.
Of course.
What were the biggest inspiration? Like you told me you were influenced by hip hop, but also your father, who was an amateur photographer.
Yeah.
What was like the main thing that also, mainly inspired you to get a camera in hand and do that outside of all the triggers like sharing it on socials and everything? If you had someone also you could look up to.
I think because at the time I didn't know I wanted to be a photographer or like even to have a creative career. So I think it's probably Michael Jordan, because I was a teenager when he was at his prime with the Bulls and everything, and I was playing basketball. I think kind of inspired me to do it, actually, because all my friends were playing soccer. As you know, it's like super popular in France and in Italy as well. And I don't know, I like, of course, I play soccer with friends, but like when my mom told me you have to sign up to like a team and do like sports in a team, I'm like, okay, soccer, I don't know, because you have to get the boots and everything. Like basketball, you just get a ball and you can play anywhere pretty much, with like any outfit almost. And I actually liked it. So I got into basketball, and then of course you look up to Michael Jordan because he was the best at the time.
And this was when you were in New York or before?
No, before in France.
Okay.
I was like 12 when I started basketball. At this point, I was looking up to Michael Jordan, and even after, for different reasons, but it's more like all the work that make your career take off, and like the motivation, and like it's beyond sports. It's like the whole message is like, let's say if you work hard, you're gonna get there.
Yeah.
In a way,
Yeah. Okay, I get
So that was my main inspiration to this day, because it's more for the message of like, you have to believe in your dreams and you have to work.
There was a change or an evolution inside your career and throughout the years from street style to a different kind of photography or career or approach to what was your career. So if still today you're doing street style, if we can call it like that, or you're doing something different?
I wouldn't say I'm still doing street style. Like I stopped completely a bit before COVID, and that's when I shifted my career to like a different. Of course, it's still me, my vision, but I shifted a bit to like more like editorial, like more like creative directed shoot and this kind of stuff. But street style at the time, it was the only, because I had no access, I had no network in fashion. So for me, it was the best way to get into the industry, because you only have to show up in front of shows, and then you do your thing, and then it's just you. So for me, it was the most accessible thing to get started in fashion, because I really wanted to be a fashion photographer.
It was the closest.
Yeah, and it was the easiest thing.
You had.
Like, I just show up my camera and I try to do my thing, and let's see what happens after.
Okay, and so mixing actually this street style photography with the more editorial approach that you got as of now, we got a quote from you from 2021 where you said that actually all the brands at the time, so 4 years ago, wanted their campaigns and their communication shot and done in a urban street environment. Is something that still today you can relate to?
I mean, I feel like it's not really like this anymore, but it was like this for a while with like all the streetwear era. Like we were just at the Virgil exhibition, like the Pyrex, Off-White, Yeezus, all this era was really all about streetwear and hip hop. So obviously all the brands wanted to shoot like, we want like a street shoot, dirt bikes, and I mean, some brands still do it. But yeah, maybe in 2021 it was even more popular.
All
I
right.
feel like I see it a bit less now because we've done it a lot, you know.
Okay, and also street style became so competitive during the
Yeah.
years. Was that one of the reasons why you left that approach?
Not really, because I like competition, and it's actually one of the main things that motivates me, you know. It's competition. So this I don't mind, but it's more about like I was a bit bored. I wanted to do something else, you know. Street style is very repetitive, you know. It's like every season the same people, the same cities, the same outfits, pretty much. Like
Doesn't
so
evolve that
after-
much.
It doesn't evolve that much, and you can try all the angles you want, all the lenses you want. After a while, you've done it all, you know, and it's like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. You know, I feel
Okay.
bored, and if you do this kind of job, it's more driven by passion than money. You know, we know we're not gonna be billionaires by taking photos, but it's more about the passion. So if you don't like it anymore, then you have to switch, man, because you can't do something like a creative job that you don't like. It makes no sense.
Okay, clearly,
So
I
I
get
had
it.
to find and shift a little bit, and you know, and do something different, but still related to what I was doing, because you can see it comes from the same eye, but just a bit different.
Talking about instead your mission, what you mentioned before, what could be the best words and the best way to describe your working ethic that you developed since, I think, decades of now, but actually that you developed and that you brought until now? And what was like the whole purpose, the whole mission, the best way to express it? Like, was it very personal? Was it a challenge with yourself? What was the real reason that led you to create all of this?
I mean, it's a challenge for myself for sure. Mission was to prove myself that I can go where I want to go, pretty much, you know, on my own, because I've always been independent. I've never been in a agency. Most photographers are, most creatives are, because after a while freelancing is fun, but when there's no more jobs, there's no more jobs, you know, and you don't have like unemployment, so you have to go fight for it, and that's what motivates me, you know. You fight for yourself, pretty much.
And you think you're a good point inside of your mission, you're a good step.
Yeah, I'm doing okay, but it's like it's far from being over, you know.
Okay, you feel like
I'm
there.
still far from where I want to be. That's for
All right.
sure.
You know, there was one thing that, meanwhile, making all the research about your profile, about the career, really spotted is that you're always very open about the inspiration, about where you come from, how you used to wear and what you used to do. And so one thing that we spotted is that you used to wear Nike TNs, which, by the way, are very popular also in Italy,
Yeah.
and actually used to wear or desire the Lacoste tracksuits.
Yeah.
And you work actually with both of the brands.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, to us from 035 Lomalab, that is like the definition of success, like achieving this kind of work with the realities that you grew up with, looking up to, you know? So how did it feel like, and how did you come up working with such realities, starting just from like taking pictures to share on Facebook?
Actually, if you had told me like when I was 16 or 17, oh yeah, you're gonna do your own tracksuit to Lacoste like in 15 years from now, you know, I wouldn't have believed it. And the funny thing is, like, when it happens to you, you don't really realize, because like you evolve so much in between like those past 15 years that you don't even realize that, oh, this is happening now. Of course, it feels nice and it's like incredible and everything, but I don't know, it doesn't.
The new version of you maybe consider that normal, but if you could take
Yeah,
that to the
exactly.
Julian of
The new version is like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, it's happening. You've been working a lot on this, and yeah, it's happening. Congrats, but it's not that crazy, you know.
now there's new levels, new goals. I get it.
Exactly. Then now you got to do this now. Oh, okay. Oh, let's
Okay.
go then.
And working with such high-tier brands and also characters, profiles, celebrities, what were like the people that surrounded you that you found the most inspiration in, or the crazy stories you have with them?
I mean, I'm really inspired by people who have a vision, who like inspire me in terms of like creative work, but not just like because you're famous. I'm
I
gonna be
get
like,
it.
oh wow, I'm shaking, you know.
And did you meet any of these kind of people?
Yeah, of course, I've been around. I mean, in this job, of course, you are around a lot of celebrities.
And the one that
especially in
left you the
fashion,
most?
when we did the project, because I know we're gonna talk about it, but with Valentino Rossi, for example, but that was already 3 years. It's a different kind of celebrity, you know. It's not an actor of the Hollywood life. He lives in Tavulia, you know. He's living this normal life. He's just famous because he's the MotoGP rider that everyone knows, but he's just a normal guy. And this is the type of celebrity that I like. We kind of grew up the same, you know. I saw photos, it was saying TN, Air Max 95, doing wheelies with scooters, like the same thing we're doing when we're 15, you know.
So something relatable.
Yeah, something relatable and like similar backgrounds, you know. It's like normal people.
All right. And actually you had the chance to work with him, or?
Yeah, we did the shoot, and, you know, we were in connection through like a mutual friend.
And how was it actually? You told me that it was relatable to you, was it inspiration?
Yeah, I mean, he was the way I expected him to be, like super nice and chill. He doesn't care, you know. He's not like, oh yeah, don't talk to me. Like, you only have 30 seconds. He's like, yeah, are we good? You have everything you wanted. Like, you know, he's like a normal person getting paid to do what he loves. So that's why he's happy as well, and you can see that.
Yeah, and that's the key.
It's
basically.
not like, yeah, that's the key. That's the key behind all that. If you do what you love, and, you know, you don't even feel that you're working. Me, I work every day, 24/7. I barely take holidays. I always have my laptop with me, but it's fine. I'm not complaining. I love that life.
That's the cost of actually living inside of the mission and taking every step one next to the other.
Exactly.
All right. So going back also to photography, like you did the shoot with Valentino and everything else. But if we can talk to young photographers, young people who are listening to you and actually learning from this, what can we say about the direction that this, I won't say niche, but this industry is going towards as of now, 2025?
I mean, now there's like this new wave of photographers that are like self-taught. Like, there's no, I mean, it's thanks to social media now. You know, you can become a photographer, show your work, post online, get some followers, and then more people look at it. Clients gonna come to you. It's like a new way of being a photographer, because before the internet, you had to go through assisting someone famous, maybe hopefully be the 5th assistant, 4th, 3rd, and then you get to be with the guy. But then you do that for 10 years, and then you're already like 35 and you still have no jobs.
It's something good to that as of now it happens like that you can be self-taught.
I mean, there's always like pros and cons. Me personally, I went to school for it, but I didn't follow the traditional path, which is like to assist someone, because my Instagram was already strong enough to get started as a freelancer on my own, and then that's how I launched my career. So it's due a lot to like social media, of course.
Okay.
But you have pros and cons, because some people they
so you think there's no better way, like every way that you take, like if more common one or old school, let's say, so try to step up all the assistant places, as you said, but and also like getting an institutional like education about that, and on the other side we have like the self-taught profession.
I mean, there's no perfect way. Any way is fine. You know, you do your thing, you make it the way you want. There's no rules, and that's what I like about this kind of jobs. There's no rules. If, you know, I show you my works on my Instagram, okay, you're gonna like it, you're gonna hire me for a job. Maybe I could have been assisting someone and meet an agent and put me on the job, and then without social media, there's no like there's no perfect way, but anyone can find his own way. As long as he gets where he want to be, you know, it doesn't matter.
And as long as he tries or she tries.
Yeah, at least he or she tries, of course. But that's the thing. There's no like, many younger kids, they're like, oh, what should I do? How can I get started? I'm like, I mean, I'm gonna tell you my story, but it's not like the recipe. Like, it's not. There's no magic behind it. Like, it's also very much related to your personal, like your person.
And I also think that nowadays maybe the mentality behind all of this is a bit different. Like if you told me that so much time passed between like starting to take pictures to share on Facebook until the moment you worked for the shooting for Louis Vuitton. Okay, as of now, I think like the mentality behind is like much more instant. I won't say gratification, but expectations about to get the fruits after the work very soon. Meanwhile, I think that
that's
at your time you took it, I won't say like with more calm and stillness, but
it takes a while. Like it's even longer than I thought. So maybe if I knew it was that long, I wouldn't have done it. But good thing I was naive about it. No, but it's true. Like it takes forever. Honestly, it's like you don't even count the hours you're gonna work on this project. But like I said before, it's not. When it's done with passion, you don't really care. You don't count the hours. If you start counting, just do something else. Go work at the bank because it's not gonna be worth it.
yeah, I understand.
If you're here for the money, then choose a different path because that's not where you're gonna be super rich overnight. That's for sure.
All right, and like coming close to the end, we have like a motto for our podcast, Loma Lounge, which actually is from the players to the new makers. And what we try to do actually with our mission and to accomplish it is actually understand the whole meaning behind the two final questions I'm going to ask you, which are first, the best advice you have ever given to throughout your whole career, your whole life, story as of now, and then the best advice you could give to someone listening to you.
The advice I would give to like a young creative that want to get started is just like work hard and be nice to people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's not complicated, but so many people are assholes or like disrespectful. Just be nice, man. It's free, you know. No matter where you are, even if you're like super famous or whatever, don't be an asshole, you know. But also you have to be strategic. So work hard, but like not in a stupid way, because that's gonna
surely
take you
and
nowhere.
you remember any of the advices you've been given that maybe are close to this one?
I don't remember specifically, but it's pretty much this. Like, you know, I mean, it's quite obvious, but it's not maybe obvious for everyone. So that's why it's a good reminder.
It's good to remember.
It's good to remember that.
All right. That was precious. And actually, well, it's a good invite to everyone. So much appreciated. Thank you so much, Julien, for your time.
Thank you for having me.
And this was the end of it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.